Hello YouTube, it is your boy GZTV back with another video. I'm recording this in the evening so I can kind of get it out before I go to class tomorrow morning. But we are here with the 1987 American supernatural comedy horror film directed by Joel Schumacher, produced by Harvey Bernhard with a screenplay written by Jeffrey Boehm. A bunch of people who contributed. There was a screenplay, decent amount of stuff going on. There's a story that this is kind of based on, and yeah, so we're talking about the Lost Boys here. A lot of vampire shit, a lot of werewolf shit going on our channel. You know, we got the plot, we got the critical reception, kind of like my review of the thing, and that's gonna do it. I'm gonna be doing this at the halftime of the Lakers game, so yeah. So getting into the plot, this follows Michael Emerson and his younger brother Sam, who move with their recently divorced mother Lucy to the fictional small beach town of Santa Carla, California, to live with their eccentric maternal grandfather. So Santa Carla does sound like a place that actually would be in California. It's like Santa Clara, but like flipping it, probably because they're not allowed to call it that. Like an actual city, they probably didn't get permission. Whatever. So Lucy gets a job at a video store owned by bachelor Max Lawrence. He's not married. Yeah. Michael becomes fascinated by Star, a beautiful girl he spots on the boardwalk, though she seems to be with David, the leader of this weird, kind of rebellious teenage like biker gang. You know, you get what I'm saying. Like when I put that image in your head, you know what I'm talking about. You know what kind of trope we're playing on here. So in the local comic book store, Sam meets brothers Edgar and Alan Frog, a pair of self-proclaimed vampire hunters. You know, they read comic books, they believe in all these like different legends and stuff, and they chase vampires. And Santa Clara is a place full of vampires, which we're going to come to find out very soon. And obviously, it's funny, you know, the very last line of the film is the grandfather, you know, telling them that all along he pretty much knew that there were vampires all over Santa Carla. I'm going to keep saying Santa Clara on accident, probably. I'll try to catch myself on that. So they give a skeptical Sam horror comics to teach him about the undead threat they claim has infiltrated the town. Obviously, this isn't like an all the way realistic to what's happening. It's a movie, though. We can do whatever the fuck we want, you know? Obviously, Sam's like not a big fan of horror comics, but he's like, well, if you guys insist, I'm just going to read this, get back to you guys, you know? So yeah. Through Star, Michael is drawn to the orbit of David's motorcycle gang. At first, he thinks like this is just a girl wandering through the boardwalk. She's kind of by herself and stuff. But then he comes to realize that she's actually with this biker gang. Which, yeah, and soon he's kind of forced to hang out with them because he's so interested in this girl. They challenge him with several tests of courage and offer him initiation into the gang. During a meal in their hangout, an abandoned luxury hotel sunken beneath the cliff by the 1906 earthquake, Star warns Michael that an offered bottle is blood, but he disregards her and drinks from it. He doesn't really give a shit. He just wants to be one of these guys. He just wants to fit in. That's the theme of a lot of, you know, teenage, kind of like high school-y, preppy, class-oriented movies. You know, you want to fit in with a certain crowd, and Michael just moved here and he's already starting to find his crowd, and I guess Sam's trying to find his as well. But yeah, the 1906 earthquake, it's really cool how they used historical context for this film. Michael begins to undergo a transformation. His eyes become sensitive to sunlight, the smell of food revolts him, and his reflection becomes translucent. You can't see. He looks like a ghost in the mirror. He looks like a typical like Casper the Ghost, stereotypical type thing. So he develops a craving for blood and attempts to attack his brother Sam, but is stopped by Sam's dog Nanook. Sam is terrified, but Michael convinces him that he is not yet a vampire and needs his help, so like they can kind of like prevent him from turning into a vampire. This is going to be really short, me talking about the plot. There really isn't much to this film. It's a pretty simple, formulaic type of film, which there's nothing wrong with that. It makes for a solid, you know, casual watch. But yeah, Sam deduces that as Michael is not yet killed, he is a half vampire, and his condition is reversible upon the head vampire's death. Like, they have to kill the ruling vampire. There's a couple cool little plot devices, a couple cool little plot twists they throw into this film as to who the head vampire is, and that it really doesn't get revealed till like the last 15 to 10 minutes of the film. So very interesting stuff. Sam and the Frog Brothers suspect Max of being the head vampire, but while Max is over at Sam's house for dinner with Lucy, that they observe that he has a reflection. You know, throwing water on him doesn't do anything. Putting garlic on his food doesn't do anything to him. So they're like, well, okay, he's just not a vampire at all. But hell, we find out later in the film that they are very wrong about this. So, yeah. So, David tries to provoke Michael into killing, but Michael repeatedly refuses. They have to go kill people, and he has to be a part of the group. He has to fit in, but obviously he doesn't want to fit in anymore now that he realizes that they're vampires. Star reveals that she and Laddie, the youngest of the gang, are also still partly human, and that David intended for Michael to be Star's first kill, sealing her fate as a vampire. Once you kill someone with like your fangs and stuff, you just transform into a vampire. That's kind of what happens. It's really childish. I don't know if I really like these films anymore. Maybe if I was like 12 or something, this would be cool. But I don't really like these fantastical films. But Michael leads Sam and the Frog Brothers to the gang's lair during the day when they are asleep. Obviously, they can't go out in sunlight. But yeah, they're scoping them out. They impale one vampire, Marco, with a wood stake, awakening the others, and this is how you kill them. You just simply stake them through the heart. And I'm not sure what's so special about doing that, because if you stake a human in the heart, they're dying too. So it's kind of weird. I don't know. The boys escape, rescuing Star and Laddie. They don't want to be fucking vampires. No one wants to, besides these other like biker dudes. Realizing the gang will come after them that night, the teens arm themselves with holy water-filled water guns, a longbow, and stakes, barricading themselves in the house. So they're expecting them, obviously. When night falls, David's gang attacks, and this is kind of like the final battle, pretty much. So the Frog Brothers, Sam, and Nanook take out two of the gang, while Michael and David battle each other. It's like the boss fight, or whatever. David is impaled, but there is no change in Michael, Star, or Laddie, forcing the group to conclude they still have not accounted for the head vampire, and this is, again, pretty much where this whole plot twist comes in. Who is the head vampire? We find out very soon who that is. So Lucy and Max return home from a date. They go out with each other. They're starting to get romantically involved, and pulling Lucy in was a part of Max's whole scheme, because we find out some things about him a little later on into the film. So Max says he is the head vampire, attributing his reflection earlier to the fact that Michael invited him into the house, and they are both vampires. So he pretty much... it's really weird. I don't understand that. The way this film kind of explains that is a bit off and a bit weird to me. But anyway, Max explains that he instructed David to turn Sam and Michael into vampires so that Lucy could not refuse to be transformed herself, as his objective had been to make Lucy mother for his lost boys. That's why the film is called The Lost Boys, because these men are without a mother. So yeah, they need to have a vampire mother. They're vampires, That's what happened. It's a weird plan. So, as Max pulls Lucy to him, preparing to transform her, Grandpa crashes his truck through the wall of the house, impaling Max on a wooden fence post and causing him to explode, kind of like a Final Destination type of death. Obviously, before Final Destination was a thing. So, Michael, Star, and Laddie then return to normal, so they realize, Max was the head vampire. When Lucy, Michael, and Sam go to see if Grandpa is alright, he replies, "One thing about living in Santa Carla, I never could stomach all the damn vampires." And it's a really cool way to end the film, given that this grandpa is very aware of everything that's going on in the entire film, and he's the hero in the end. So it's not a bad movie. I guess we can get into the review. I don't have a lot to say about this thing. I will say a decent amount of people talked about this movie around the time it came out. I think it's a pretty decent movie. I don't think it's terrible or anything. It's flawed but eminently watchable. Joel Schumacher's teen vampire thriller blends horror, human, and plenty of visual style with standout performances from a cast full of young 1980s stars, which a decent amount of them most likely turned out to blossom into stars. I'm not really following any of those people's careers. It's a pretty decent movie. I would say it's solid for a casual watch. I don't know. There's nothing really wrong with this film. I don't think it's perfect. There's nothing like blatantly wrong with it. It's just okay. I don't know how to say it. I mean, the cinematography was great. A cast that's good right down the line is great. I mean, The Lost Boys is kind of like a triumph of style over substance and an ambitious entertainment that starts out well but ends up selling its soul to just the aesthetic of a vampire movie, I think. Diane West's character is a dopey mom, and Barnard Hughes' character is a caricature of a feisty old grandpa. The film is more of a comedy than a horror, and the finale is kind of funny. So if you're here for a laugh, I guess it's cool. The film brilliantly portrays vampirism as a metaphor for the kind of mythic male bonding that resists growing up, commitment, especially marriage. So, yeah, vampire, werewolves being used to, like, represent something in adolescence is really cool, and I like that movies do that. We saw it with Ginger Snaps. Yeah. I mean, it's a horrifically dreadful vampire teensploitation entry that daringly advances the theory that all those missing children pictured on garbage bags and milk cartons are actually the victims of blood-sucking bikers. It won some awards. It was a pretty solid movie for the time, and yeah, it also has quite a bit of cultural influence. It definitely helped shift depictions of vampires in popular culture and bring a more youthful, sexier appeal to the vampire genre. Films like Buffy the Vampire Slayer was definitely inspired by this. Like, David transforming the noodles into worms was like pretty much a direct reference. What We Do in the Shadows in the vampire mockumentary, that film. Inspiring the song of the same name by the Finnish gothic rock band, the 69 Eyes. There's a lot of cultural influences. Referencing the themes and practical effects on collaborating with Tim Capello was Dark All Day's music video by Gunship, or Dark All Day music video by Gunship. Music videos, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Lost Boys is a pretty good movie, and it's big in, like, rock culture. So, yeah, it's definitely got some influence. I'll definitely respect it for that, but not sure where I put this movie up on a tier list or something. I'm out, guys. I don't really have much to say. Have a good rest of your night. We're going to be talking about Cloverfield later on this week, so